Story time about how my mom planned to kill me. Yes, I said my mother. So a little background information, I was 16 years old and I was in 11th grade. Now it's not like my mom hated me my whole life, because there was a time whenever she was super happy and she did really love me. Well, it all started whenever my dad had left her. She went into this deep depression, she quit her job, she wouldn't get out of bed in the morning, she stopped cooking, stopped cleaning, and she always blamed me because she thought it was my fault that our dad left, when in reality my dad still texts me all the time asking how I'm doing. All of a sudden, a flip switch, my mom started cooking again, going to work. I never really ate her food because it low-key looked weird. But one day I came home from school and saw her putting rat poison in my food. And I wish I was kidding. But she's fucking crazy. So I said hi, but she didn't answer me. So I tapped her on the shoulder. She turned around and put a knife up to my neck. I ran out the door, called the police. They arrested her, and now I am happily living with my father and my non-crazy story time about the girl who left me unconscious in the girls' bathroom. So a little background information. I was pretty young at the time. I was in 7th grade and I was 11 years old. And there was this girl who we're gonna call Jenna. Jenna hated me for absolutely no fucking reason. She would bully me because I had red hair, and she would text me literally every day at the same time, telling me to off myself, and how I was weird and how nobody liked me. One day she randomly started being nice to me. She sat with me at lunch and her water bottle was empty, and she asked if I needed mine filled up too. Stupidly, I said yes. Well, she ended up putting drugs in my water bottle. After like 20 minutes, I started feeling sick, so I went to the bathroom, and I was kneeling over the toilet when everything went black. Well, when I didn't come back from the bathroom, my teacher got worried, so she sent security looking for me. They were banging on my stall. Obviously, I was fucking unconscious, so I didn't answer. So then they called the fire department, the police, the ambulance were all there. Like for part 2 about the girl who left me unconscious in the girls' bathroom. So like I said, the fire department was there, the police, the ambulance. They called the fire department because they couldn't get the door off. And when they removed it, it fell on me. So I was injured and unconscious. And just a little background information on this girl, who, mind you, was literally 11 years old. She had a 3 criminal record and was recently in prison for 5 days, or juvie, whatever the heck you want to call it, because she brought a knife to school and tried to stab some kid who had called her fat the day before. Anyways, back to the story. I wake up 4 days later. My mom's sitting next to me. They put Abby in jail for 13 years. For suspicion of attempted murder, and she was kicked out of school. And now I'm homeschooled and failing all my classes. I now have seizures because of the drugs that she gave me. So yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to do that. It's fine.
Sorry.
I definitely told you stop doing that. Stop doing it.
I'm sorry, I won't do it again, I promise.
Oh no, somebody get her out of here.
Story time about my unhealthy obsession with my ex-boyfriend. So a little background information, I was 18 and in 12th grade, and him and I had been dating for about 4 years, and it was around Thanksgiving, so it was pretty much college decision time. I got accepted into UCLA, and I was really happy because it was super close to home, and my boyfriend, who we're gonna call Devin, got accepted there also. So I was super excited that we did not have to do the long distance thing, until a week later he calls me, and apparently he got some soccer scholarship, so now he's going to Berkeley. So I was like, okay, maybe we can make long distance work. Well, then he tells me that he doesn't want to make it work and he thinks that we should just break up. Well, a week after that, him and I were sleeping together again. So I thought that meant that we were back together. The one day I was leaving his house and I heard his mom talking about me. And she was like, oh, is she coming to the Christmas party? And I was super, super happy. Until Devin says, oh, we're not together anymore and I'm thinking of inviting a different girl. Well, a week later, the party rolls around and I decide that I'm going to show up anyways. Like for part 2. Part 2 about my unhealthy obsession with my ex-boyfriend. So like I said, he thought that he was bringing some random girl to his Christmas party, and I decided that I was going to show up there anyways. So I'm sitting in the car outside of his house the day of the Christmas party, pretty much just giving myself a little pep talk. Eventually I go up, I knock on the door, his dad answers, gives me a big hug, and tells me that he's downstairs with all of his cousins playing the video game. So I go downstairs, and as soon as I get down the stairs, all of his cousins look at me, and they give me the look of like, oh shit, she is not supposed to be here right now. And then I see the bathroom door closed with the light on. So I walk over, open the door, and what do I see? A girl from our school giving my boyfriend head. Well, my ex-boyfriend, but still, he was my boyfriend. So I didn't even give her time to get up before I started wailing on her. A few punches and kicks later, my boyfriend starts screaming in pain. After that, I got kicked out of the house, and I had to pay some medical bills because she bit my boyfriend. And I'm still on probation for beating her ass. Storytime about the girl who faked assault for attention. So a little background information, I was 15 and it was my sophomore year of high school. So we're gonna call this girl Carly. Well, every week this girl would come in with some sort of bruise or cut on her. Me being a decent human being, I would ask her what happened. Well, every week she would either say that somebody beat her up or she was SA'd by this one guy who took a video of them while they were doing the nasty. But you could completely tell that it was not against her will. Well, everybody would believe her because always believe the victim. Well, the same thing happened again with a different boy. Everybody saw the video, and I'm talking like people from different schools. So it got into a routine of her telling us how she would have to get abortions every month. So fast forward, I head to my first class of the day, which was English. Well, I look over at her because she sits right next to me, and I see a huge bruise on her neck. Like, it looked like somebody had been choking her. Now, her and I weren't in the same friend group, but we were kind of friends. So I lean over and ask her what happened, like for part 2. Part 2 about the girl who faked assault for attention. So like I said, we were sitting in English class and I look over at her and she has this big bruise on her neck and it looked like somebody choked her. So I leaned over to her and I asked her what happened and she said the guy who was in the video with her, the most recent video, he SA'd her. So I tell her to come to the bathroom with me before the bell rang. So we go in and I immediately grab a paper towel and put it under some water with some soap and I go to put it on her neck. And she starts screaming and like ducking and swerving. Well, I ended up swiping her neck with the paper towel. And there is makeup all on this paper towel. And the bruise is just like smudged all over her neck. So I was like, what the hell is wrong with you? She told me not to tell anyone. And that was her way of making friends. Even though this girl had plenty of friends. So when we got back to class, the bruise had a completely different shape. And she changed her story to me beating the shit out of her in the bathroom. Because she slept with my non-existent boyfriend. 3 years later, she is still doing the same exact shit. Storytime about the girl who was weirdly obsessed with my best friend. So a little background information, I was 14 and in 9th grade, and I went to a private school, so there was only one class per grade. So my best friend and I were in class together, and we're gonna call her Bella. And then there was this girl, Gabby, who I'd kind of been friends with for almost a year. Well, Gabby was a whore for popularity. Like, anything that the popular kids would ask her to do, she would get on her hands and knees and do it. This woman did not care. Well, we had a project working up, so all 3 of us decided to work on it together. So I invited them over my house, and Gabby said that she needed to use the bathroom. So Bella offered to show her where the bathroom was. Probably 3 minutes later, Bella comes running up the stairs like she just saw a ghost. She was telling me that Gabby took all of her clothes off and tried making out with her. Well, that night they both spent the night. And I wake up in the middle of the night to Gabby pinning Bella to the wall trying to kiss her. But I went back to sleep and acted like nothing ever happened. Fast forward, it got to the point where Bella was actually feeling really unsafe, so her parents switched her schools. Storytime about how my boyfriend and best friend were sneaking around behind my back. So a little background information, I was 15 and in 10th grade. So my mom and dad were split up and I was pretty much allowed to do whatever I wanted because of that. So I was dating this boy named Jacob. Well, my best friend Alice literally hated him. Like, low-key, every once in a while, she would try to break him and I up. And when I would call her out on it, she would just deny it. Anyway, so the one day I didn't go to school because I was super sick. So the whole day I was trying to text Jacob and Allison, but nobody was answering me. Which was extremely weird because no matter what, Allison would always text me back. So after I knew the school ended, I went to Allison's house. Nobody was answering the door, so I used the spare key. I walk in and all I hear is a very loud banging coming from her bedroom. So I walk in, I see my boyfriend and her together, and then he starts saying that she drugged him. So I went on his phone, I see a bunch of old text messages between him and her, and them exchanging pictures. And then sis wants to start giving me an attitude, so I punched her in the face, and then I left and I don't talk to either of them. Storytime about how I almost got kidnapped by my online boyfriend. So a little background information, I was 16 and in 11th grade. So a year before this all happened, I posted a picture on Instagram saying, add me on Snapchat if you want to be friends. Yes, I was that person. Anyway, so this really cute guy adds me on Snapchat. And after about 3 months talking, he said that he wants to meet me in person. And he didn't sound sus at all, so I was like, sure. So we met at this park that was like 30 minutes away. We met there around 6 o'clock, so when the sun was setting. And he was super nice. It was super romantic. Well, then we went to his house. We watched a movie and we did the nasty. So after that, he asked me if I want a drink. And what I could have swore was 20 minutes later, I wake up in an abandoned farm shed with no clothes or anything. So I start screaming my head off. I don't have my phone or anything, so I start to run. And then he grabs me. He says, if you try to run or you try to scream, I am going to kill you. Like for part. Part 2 about how I almost got kidnapped by my online boyfriend. So like I said, I wake up in this abandoned farm shed. I don't have no clothes. I don't have a phone. So I try to run and he grabs me. He says that if you run, I will kill you. So I was like, okay, fine. What do you want from me? So he starts putting on lingerie and tells me to also put some on so we can take pictures together. What the actual you know what? So after that, he starts crying and he starts telling me his whole life story and how he's not who I think he is. Turns out that he's 32 and he just goes online pretending that he's 17 years old. So I just try to comfort him, right? It ends up working. He brings me my clothes, tells me to run, or else he's going to, once again, kill me. So I run, I go to this gas station, get picked up by the police, find my parents. Luckily for me, I paid attention to where everything was. He was arrested, he's still in prison to this day, and I got grounded for 3 months.